Hi, y'alls. Just as a reminder, hopefully the live told you this, but this is not a Lucala live. This is about Dawson's Creek. Season 1, episodes 5 and 6. So, hopefully, I just want to let y'all know, just in case you thought this was about Lucala. Edie, hey. Yeah, so this is for folks who are interested in talking about Dawson's Creek. Season 1, episodes 5 and 6. So, if you're fine with that, Edie, thought more menopause. That did not come up on the episodes, but I'm sorry to disappoint. Oh my word. But that was a fun conversation this morning, for sure. But just want to give people a heads up. This is not a Lucala Live. This is about Dawson's Creek. Dawson's Creek's season 1, episodes 5 and 6. So I understand if folks are not planning to stay for it, unless y'all are a fan of Dawson's Creek like I am. But I will wait until exactly at 6. Edie said it was, thanks. KK, good night then. Not a fan. Oh, so sad. Did you not like it when it was out, Edie? Oh gosh, I love Dawson's Creek so much. Hi, K-girl. All right, so I'm just gonna wait a little bit until like we hit 6 o'clock so that we can start talking about Dawson's Creek season 1, episodes 5 and 6. This is for the folks who are watching it or rewatching Dawson's Creek, or even if you're not watching or rewatching it. Edie said I couldn't get into it and it frustrated me I was in the market too at that time. You couldn't get into it? Wait a minute, how old were you when it came out? Amy Stribling once said, hey there, how are you tonight? I'm doing all okay, Amy. I have one more day without work before having to return on Wednesday, so that'll be an interesting thing, getting back to like quote unquote normal, whatever that looks like for me. K-girl said, sorry, didn't get a chance to watch the last episodes. You didn't? Was it because you were watching Outlander? Did Outlander get you? You got lost in the sauce? Oh, so when I talk about tonight's episode, you're not gonna have any idea what I'm talking about, K-girl? See, you got way too ahead. Okay, Edie, you were 22. I mean, my word. When did it come out again? Maybe I was as well. You finished Outlander? K-girl, how? Wait a minute. What do you mean you finished Outlander? Like season 1? Like, not the whole thing. Susanna, hello. I mean, unless you did, which would, like, be amazing. What, K-girl? You're caught up with the whole series of Outlander? You literally went from, like, I did not like one episode and gave up on Outlander to being told to give it a chance, and you finished, what is that, like 7 seasons? K-girl, I am, like, literally amazed. I am literally amazed. Edie said she's on fire. Susanna said, did we already watch Dawson's Creek? I did. I did watch Dawson's Creek. And Edie said 8. What do you mean 8? Oh, there's 8 seasons. Okay. Oh my word, that's even more so. K-girl, wow. You were obsessed. Well, okay, I'll just tell you what happened in Dawson's Creek's episodes 5 and 6. I didn't write notes like I usually would, because I was hoping that I was just going to be like, well, topsy-turvy. There's 6 seasons for Dawson's Creek, but they were talking about Outlander, I guess, which has 8 seasons. That K-girl apparently just watched the whole thing for. Edie said, okay, ladies, night. K-girl said, but it's 7 season, part 2 comes out. Okay, wait, what was 8 then? Okay, then I guess, okay. Edie said, yeah, she melted in her bed. Okay, so, okay, K-girl, let me see if I can remember what happened so I can let you know about episodes 5 Oh, there are 8 seasons though? Oh, okay, gotcha. Um, let me see if I can remember what happened. And if there's anybody who actually watched episodes 5 and 6 of Dawson's Creek, feel free to jump in the chat about like what happened. But this is pretty much what I recall. In episode 5, there's like some sort of Hurricane Christopher. So it's season 1 that we're talking about. Season 1, episodes 5 and 6. So there's a hurricane, and Jen and Grams and Joey end up being at Dawson's house, and it is clear to Mrs. Leary, Dawson's mom, that Dawson now knows, because he's making all these comments about Hurricane Bob and instead of Hurricane Christopher. And she's like, oh boy, because she knows that he now knows. And also Deputy Doug, is that his name? Doug, right? His brother, ends up going to Tamara's house with Pacey because she needs help with something. Now here's that, like the foreshadowing that they do around Deputy Doug's like sexuality. Because Pacey hints at this. Now, at first you think that he's just making fun of his brother in a way. But in actuality, that's like, it actually is important to listen to what Pacey's saying, from the get-go. Because it pans out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's too. I'm bad at this. I'm not a good non-spoiler, but all to say, Pacey's words mean something. Anyways, when they get to Tamara's house, like his brother's like hitting on her heavy. I think because of everything that, like, all of Pacey's comments around his sexuality. Hey, zigzag_elf. So he's talking a lot about like wanting to take her out. Like they're talking about musicals and but I forgot also to say that when his brother went out to try to fix something outside in the storm, he tells Tamara that he is gay. And so when Tamara and his Pacey's brother are engaging, she's under that impression. So when he asks her on a date, she's like, well, but not for real, right? Because I already know. And so he gets mad. And y'all, this was the wildest thing. I forgot this ever happened because it is the wildest thing. He literally pulls a gun on Pacey. Like he literally pulls out a gun on Pacey. And I don't know if I can even say that on this live. I don't know if it takes it as something. But he does that and points it at Pacey and says, tell her I'm not gay. And I'm like, I do not remember this whatsoever at all on this episode. And the fact that Pacey's like legitimately like, hello, Tiffany, legitimately like calm about it. I'm like, he literally pulled out a gun on you just, and like Tamara is freaked out. I would be freaked out too, that he was so mad at his brother, he just pulls it out and just points it at him. And Pacey's like, oh, he does this or something? Like, how often does he, how is this just like a thing? I don't know if y'all who rewatched or watched episodes 5 and 5 was like totally thrown off by like just his response, by doing that. In the end, like, Tamara tells him that she's not interested in going on a date because she's seeing someone obviously being Pacey, which I'm really, like, again, not a fan of this storyline whatsoever. K-Girl said, I don't remember that. That is crazy. Yeah, it was so wild, K-Girl. I was like, what is he? Like, literally, that's like he went from 0 to 100 by pulling that thing out. Meanwhile, over at the Leary house, Dawson, like, confronts his mom, and his mom finally confesses to his dad. Hoo-wee! That's another thing that I forgot how he responded. Now, I'm not saying he didn't have the right to respond in the way that he did. And in the end, he, like, didn't put his hands on her. But I will tell you, like, the way he responded would have freaked the living daylights out of me. Now, mind you, I would have not done, or what I would like to believe, that I would not have done what she did by cheating on him. I understand how mad he was. Amy Stribling once said, I had to watch while taking care of my little granddaughter, so I was busy. K-Girl said, I love the Witter Brothers storyline. Yeah, I mean, I do too. I mean, the arc of it, sure, yeah. But, like, that episode was wild to me. Like, when he pulled that out, I was like, I do not remember this whatsoever. But, like, so Mitch, Dawson's dad, is so mad. And, and just, like, tosses, like, everything to the ground, tells her to get out. Like, he's like, you're not allowed to cry. You are not allowed to cry. Like, heads out the door, and she starts crying. But, like, that, the amount of anger in him, I was, like, really scared, to be honest. Like, it was a very convincing reaction, but it genuinely scared me because I didn't remember him having that side of him that could just turn on a dime like that. And obviously I know, like, in the show he never, like, physically harmed her, but it honestly felt like he could have that part of himself if he wanted to, because of how, I mean, he had self-control, though. He didn't, but it was, like, very, I don't know. It would make sense if other people in the space have watched season 1, episode 5 right now. K-Girl said, I'm not surprised, though, because she cheated. I remember how mad he got. And, I mean, that's the thing. I understood why he responded the way that he did, but I guess he's always been such a chill dude. And I just forgot that he had that side of him, which, I mean, usually, like, the quiet ones do have the tendency to, like, if you've, like, pushed too much or done too much, like, that you do have that side that comes out, usually, I suppose. But it really still threw me off, especially, like, when she got in the car with him to, like, and he's, like, being, like, he's telling her, remember when I first met you, and, like, I made a choice, and I loved you immediately, and I'm, like, forgetting that, like, he's saying all the sweet stuff, and then immediately, like, he's like, but I've made the choice to stop loving you, so get out of the car before I physically remove you from this vehicle. And I was like, oh, dang, Mitch, I totally forgot how angry he was. Again, rightfully so, but it's just wild. Yeah, K-Girl said, yeah, but you don't see it too often. Like, I don't typically see that side of Mitch at all. I mean, it's probably one of the few times, obviously he left so he could calm himself down, so he could show up in a better way for her. Because he does come back later when everything's calm and then asks her, why did you do it? And her answer was, like, her answer is what we kind of remember her answer to be, but it's so dumb. Yeah, K-Girl said he is such a sweet character. He is such a sweet character. That's why it threw me off how angry he got. I was like, whoa. It was so, like, so well acted. I got really scared for a second. But, like, I just could not stand her answer. I mean, it wasn't her honest answer as to why she cheated on him, but it drove me up the wall. Literally, it was just pure boredom. It was pure boredom. That was her answer. She was just bored. Her life was too perfect. She had to mess it up. I'm like, she's like, I had the husband, I had the child, I had this and that, and she just got bored. Like, so she decided to implode her whole family. I mean, it's like, I hate that. I hate that that's the reasoning. I'm not saying there's ever an excuse for cheating, but like, like that really irritated me. That she literally was just bored. Amy Stribling once said that annoyed me so much. It annoyed me so much because she literally she just like, I just wanted to want something again. Like, I don't know, want some, like, can't you want something less destructive? like why you gotta ruin your whole family because you wanted what exactly? It's just wild to me. There was so many other avenues that she could have stretched herself as a person that had nothing to do with damaging her whole family. K-Girl said, I found her character so annoying in the first 2 seasons. I would have to get my memory jogged about like what she was like. Amy Stribling once said, when you're bored, you should talk to your spouse about it. Duh. Yeah. Like, I mean, there was so many things that she could have done. So many, like, to me, there had to be a lot of choices made before she had to make that. Well, not even had to. What like, it really does irritate me whenever I think about it because it is such a drastic decision to make because you're simply bored and wanted to want something again. Like, what is that about, right? Also, there was a moment between Jen and Joey, where Joey's like apologizing for the way that Dawson like got upset at Jen, like because he was just upset about his mom and stuff like that. And Dawson does apologize. He apologizes to both of them, both Joey and Jen, because Joey also got hurt because she's like, just be happy that you have a mom still, right? Which she admits is like an easy card to pull, but at the same time very accurate. Like, she wishes her mom was still around. So, and here he is complaining about his mom, and she's just like, you know, be happy at least that you have that. And so it was a very interesting thing, but there's this whole scene between Jen and Joey, and they're discussing whether or not they think that Dawson has a pistol or a rifle. So and they're not talking about firearms. They're talking about something else. I'm hoping that the live does not pick that up as something dangerous. I promise you it is not. It is all metaphor. K-Girl said, I'm not surprised Joey called him out for that. Yeah. And I'm glad that he admitted he tends to be that very selfish, self-centered, all about me. And that's kind of like what she like basically said to him, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry that, you know, it's not like all about, like, it's, what did she say? It's like not all about, I made it all about me. I forgot it's not all about me or something like that, which is a poke in a lot of ways, right? So, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's all of episode 5. And this might be very short live because I'm not quite sure how many people actually watched episodes 5 and 6. So there's not much back and forth in the chat about it. So I don't know how many people did get to watch it. But episode 6 is fine. I was so excited for episode 6 because it's finally the end of the Tamara, saga. That whole thing, which was, I was never a fan of that storyline whatsoever. I was so excited. I was so excited for it to be over. And so there's 2 storylines going on at that time. One had to do with Bessie. Is that right? It's Bessie, right? And she's having her baby. Her water broke. And so she needed to get to the hospital, but the car wasn't working. So Joey had to like row her boat to Dawson's, and Dawson had to try to call the doctor because I guess their line was not working either. Something. But they had to have somebody help her give birth. And so so Joey had to ask Grams. And y'all know the complication because Grams, at this point of her character development, still has issues with Joey's sister because she's unmarried, having a kid, and she also has a black boyfriend. And it really, which is an interesting thing to think about, that discussions around race was still very much in the forefront at that time. Like even having a black boyfriend with a white woman in the show was a big discussion point, right? And so she's saying to her, like, I don't want her to help me have this baby when she's judging me and does not even like everything that I am. She doesn't care about. K-Girl said, yeah, the one with Pacey as well as, yeah, Grams doesn't like them. And so it's also an interesting thing because it's I think Joey had flashbacks of her mom and just seeing her sister kind of suffering while giving this birth. She was losing a lot of blood. Jen was freaking out about it. Grams was trying to get her to like snap out of it. Yeah, Amy Stribling once said, and that was in 1998. Doesn't seem that long ago, and it isn't. And I mean, it's that's why I feel like it's been kind of a really interesting reality of like race relations. No matter how much time has passed, it still hasn't moved as far along as people think. Like we continue to have the same discussions as we've had even back then, right? Like it's always still the same discussions because it's not fully gets fleshed out. Because I think in order to have conversations about it in ways, it has to be done where people's defenses, like sometimes people's defenses come up immediately. And so people can't have legitimate conversations. Sometimes people fear just the conversations itself is the thing that causes more issues, when in reality, stifling conversation usually is the thing that continues to allow it to fester. It's like when you can have just genuine, real conversations, there's more things that can actually be done. But people are so afraid of conversations, afraid of what they might hear. And so, and if fear is the thing that drives somebody, like nothing can ever move forward, really. Amy Stribling said, sorry, so true, Phoebe. Thanks. The other thing that I was thinking about too was, Dawson needs to read the room, right? He wants to film the thing. I mean, I understood the purpose behind it, but at the same time, like, there was a moment where like Grams pushed him out and said like, you're messing with my like client and all that stuff. But like, it was good that she pushed him out. It gave him an opportunity to sit with Joey, remind Joey that her sister needed her too, and was there when she was able to give birth. Yeah, K-Girl said it's not the right time. Yeah, it wasn't the right time to be out there filming. That's for sure. And so when she comes back, you know, she was able to hold her sister's hand and she's finally giving birth to the baby. Also, there's a callback again between Grams and Jen because they have their conversation around like religion and issues of faith, and like because at one point like she's trying, like they don't have any medicine, and they had wanted Grams had wanted her to like do the Lord's Prayer, and they're like, the Lord's Prayer ain't gonna help me in this situation, but it kind of, she's like, it's not for you, it's for the baby, kind of situation. But so she has a conversation with Jen. So like that whole, I mean, I really do appreciate the way that like Dawson's Creek did really kind of not shy away from having like topics that probably felt a little bit more controversial at times. Ronnie said, hey, never got the chance to watch the episodes and about to jump in the shower, but I'm listening. Okie dokie. Thanks, Ronnie. Yeah, I'm not sure how many people did get to see the actual episodes. But I'm trying to run through it as much as I can clearly remember. So that's one of the storylines. But the other big storyline was the whole Pacey thing, which I'm like, thank goodness it's over. Because it was, for me, it's so highly inappropriate. It was such a highly inappropriate, like, I appreciated, I don't know if I was glad that storyline was over. So, what ends up happening is she's talking to Dawson. Yeah, Elachada says such an ick. Yeah. He's talking to Dawson in the bathroom. Now, let me tell y'all, why did Pacey check, like, just for the feet? But I feel like he said stuff to Dawson already before he started checking to see if there's feet in the restroom. Like, I need to rewatch it, but I'm fairly sure he said stuff to Dawson about the teacher and then checked for feet. And I'm like, look, if you've said stuff already, Pacey, why are you checking now? You should have checked for feet before then. Like, not after. And also, like, he could have just done a nice, gentle, like, push of the doors. Because then that dude who was sitting on the toilet, I mean, like, putting his feet on the toilet, would have been discovered to be eavesdropping. Not that he was eavesdropping on purpose, but still. So because this guy heard him tell Dawson about the situation with and here's the thing. This is why I'm like, I do not blame Pacey. Like, people who blame Pacey, who was a 15-year-old boy, who with a teacher who was 36. So let me see. Sorry. Amy Stribling once said, and it was so uncomfortable too, ick. K-Girl said, the teacher on the trial with the school, yeah, and never liked the teacher storyline. I was not a fan. But, like, to me, it's wild because it starts off with Pacey saying, oh, all we do is stay in. You think, Pacey? Come on. This is why I'm like, how could they put, like, they try to make it equivalent, like, he's the pursuer. He was 15 years old. And his mind was like a 15-year-old. Because, like, what in his right mind did he think, like, oh, let's go out in public because he thinks it's a real relationship. Like, she knows better. He doesn't fully understand it. Like, he really doesn't. Like, he's 15. She was a teacher. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that I feel like I get it. Like, I know Ginger last week said that it was potentially from the perspective of the teenager. And maybe it was in his perspective. But it was kind of like, still, I had a hard time going like, don't justify and make it seem like it was on him as a 15-year-old to know better. Like, and the thing is, they made him be the one to like, anyway, so let me backtrack. So then earlier in the episode, he's like trying to convince her to go out in public instead of always staying indoors. But we know why they're staying indoors, right? But like, let's go out on an actual date out in real public where people can see you. Okay, sure. But then at the same time, he knows that if they're found out, that is going to be bad. So it's kind of like, well, what is your thinking here, Pacey? Like, but anyways, but then when the guy finds out in the bathroom, the rumor spread, everybody's talking about it, the faculty's talking about it, she's upset about it, but then the school board finds out about it, and Pacey goes in there, I guess, knight in armor, I don't know, K-Girl said it's because he never had guidance, and he then he denies a relationship with her. Yeah. So that's what ends up happening. She's on trial or I don't know if it's trial, but she has to be in front of the school board or whatever. And he comes in and he's like, it's totally made up. It's totally made up. Didn't happen. And he saves her bacon. I don't know. That's such a silly way of saying it. But like, he really keeps her from losing her job by claiming that I just made it all up. But that boy, and I literally mean boy, thinks that like he's still going to have a relationship with her, right? Goes over to her house and like, oh, I promise I'm not going to ever talk about it. Da, da, da. It's like, dude, it's over. Like, and it should have never started. It should have never started because she should have known better as a teacher. She should have known better. And she says that she's resigned from the school. She's going back, I think, to be closer to her sister. They hug goodbye. And this is what I actually posted about hugging. Because even though I'm not a fan of the storyline, I will say that from the get-go, Pacey has always known how to hug. Like, Pacey has always hugged, like, wholeheartedly, fully. I have always been a fan of Pacey's hugs. Because not everybody can hug in such a, like, loving, intentional way. His hugs are so, like, fulfilling just to watch. You know, there's an intimacy in his hugs. Shallots for Life said he never saw it as his teacher doing anything wrong. Yeah. Okay, girl said he's hugged everyone. Yeah, he is very caring. There's something about Pacey's hugs that I feel like are so warm and embracing. There's just, I mean, and we'll see it throughout the series. It's I don't know. I wrote it as like, he's so present in that hug. He's so present. Amy Stribling once said, yes, I love a good hugger where you feel the love. That's what I feel whenever I watch Pacey. Like, he hugs with purpose. Some people just hug to hug, but like, he literally hugs with purpose. And I really appreciate that about him. K-Girl said, I love his caring nature. Also, we had a little bit of Joey and Pacey moment, right? I feel like we do get little kernels of Joey Pacey moments where it really gives a nod to like the things that bring them together as well. And it was like both feeling like outcasts of the society and having people judge them and be the center of people's gossip, right? And so this is Pace. I mean, this is Joey telling Pacey that she can relate. Later on in the season, I think in the season or in another season, it's the other way around where Pacey reminds her. But like in this case, Joey's like, I get what you're going through right now. And I love that they have that connection at that moment. Amy Stribling once said, I like that description. Shouts for Life said he's a lot more sensitive than people think he is. Absolutely. I think that Pacey, because he's oh my word. Okay. This was on episode 5 and episode 6, right? His brother, keeps harping on how much of a loser how much of a loser Pacey is, and how he's such a disappointment to like the family or whatever. Like, just don't judge us by him. And I really do like the one redeeming thing about Tamara is she does like stand up for Pacey and basically says like, he's now like what, I forgot what she said, like a sensitive, caring, intelligent young person or whatever. I appreciated that she acknowledged that, because honestly, like, they rag on Pacey so much. He could have just been a bitter guy for the way that people treated him. But literally, I feel like part of the reason he is such a sensitive, loving, caring person is he didn't want other people to feel the way he felt, to be as diminished as they try to make him. Yeah, Amy Stribling says he gets so beat up by his family. Yeah. And I think feeling that, sometimes people are either like, if they experience something, they want other people to experience the same thing, even though it's horrible, versus there's other people who experience something and want to protect people from having that feeling. And I think Pacey really tries to show up better in people's lives than anybody's ever shown up for him in regards to his own immediate family. Amy Stribling said you should feel safe with your own family. Shallots for Life said they put him down so much he believes it about himself. It's so sad. Yeah, that is, and we see that struggle throughout the series, right? Until he's able to really know who he is and what he brings to the table and be fine with who he is. But that is a struggle. I mean, it's very hard if all through your life, all you hear is that you're an utter failure. that you're a disappointment. You're like, you know, it's such a constant beatdown from the very people who should be lifting you up the most. And so it was a very interesting, it was very interesting. And I'm trying to think if is that all of episode 6 as well. I think it was. So, I mean, I went through that fairly fast. But is there anything specifically that y'all want to talk about in regards to episodes 5 and 6? Whether or not it's not just staying within the episode, but kind of like extrapolating it to life in general, we could do that as well. But like, are you as thrilled as I am that Tamara storyline is over? Because my word. K-Girl said the only family you see of his is his brother. Well, we do see his sister eventually. I mean, we do see his parents at some point and his sisters, but also his like one of his sisters is like a big storyline later on. K-Girl said it was an ick. Yeah. So I'm definitely like 100% happy that storyline was over. Shallots for Life said Jane Lynch plays his mom. Yeah, I think I was told like maybe 2 lives ago or something like that was the case. Maybe it was even last live. And I was like, I forgot she played his mom, which is wild to me. But yeah, so I mean, what if you think about that storyline? Oh, okay. You think you were the one who said it last time too. Susanna said, I was so sad to hear about Bodhi's passing. Yeah. And I realized that one actor who played Bodhi only did it for 1 episode. Because the regular Bodhi that I knew, it seems like episode 2 on. But yes, it was very sad that he passed. So I'm just thinking about like, how do you think, because it was such like a 6 episode storyline for Pacey and the teacher, like how do you think, I mean, and she does make a return in the future, but very briefly, right? What do you think that does? I mean, I don't know if they fully like unpack that later on. I don't know how they would have done it. Susanna said that would not fly now. Yeah, it would not. It would not fly now. Because I think the way they did it, like despite always constantly acknowledging that it wasn't right, still like there was a part of it they romanticized that would not fly right now. It just wouldn't. K-Girl said it changes a person. Yeah, it does change a person. And I wonder, I guess, in what ways do you think realistically that relationship ended up shaping his future relationships? K-Girl said, especially because she was older than him. Yeah. Yeah, she was 21 years older than him. So when he was 0, she was 21. She was of drinking age. And he was not even a thought. So, how do you, I mean, and so being 15 and her being 36. Hey, Tanya. Him being 15 and her being 36. Him losing his virginity to her. Him, like, this is his first actual real, quote unquote, relationship. K-Girl said it made him a lot more caring and more attentive to his relationships. But did he need to have that to be that? Because I think that is Pacey anyway. Without her, he would have still been that, I feel like. Susanna said, and it really um, did so much to his character. Oh, and it really didn't do much, maybe is what you meant. Really didn't do much to his character. He wasn't really damaged or affected by it, which I think is like the unrealistic part to it. Like, I feel like, oh, okay, maybe that's part of it, though, too. Shouts for Life said he was so messed up to begin with, then this happened. Maybe that. Oh, Ronnie, he does comment about it later? Oh, I think I forgot what he commented about it later. Really? Like, what season did he comment about it? I know she comes back in a later season. Oh, okay. Hold on.
I can't remember which season it is, but I think it's at one point where Joey's helping him study. And I can't remember
Hmm.
if it's like it's I don't think it's soon. I think because I think he mentions
Oh, wait, but he kind of makes a comment to Joey about, like, what's his incentive?
yes, because he correlates studying with basically sex because it's always been a reward for him. So it's always like because he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't only name her, he names Andy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he
That's
related
true.
all of those relationships to that's how he like achieves basically. So
Mm.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
Joey. Yeah. So
that's a good point.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point. Um,
that's it.
okay. Thank you. K-Girl said, yes, but it made him be more aware. Susanna said, I don't think it was serious. What do you not think was serious, Susanna? Shallots for Life said, was it Joey or Andy? I think the conversation was with Joey. When the teacher shows up again in the future, it's when he was with Andy, though. Amy Stribling said, "Oh, I forgot that." Am I freezing? Because I feel like I'm moving slower on the screen. Um, but yeah, no. Okay, no. All right. Yes. No and yes. Okay. Which one is it? Um, but Susanna, were you saying that you didn't think what was serious, like the repercussions were serious, or they didn't show it was serious? Um, Oh, Susanna said, like the whole reward for studying, I feel like it wasn't a serious convo. He just didn't want to work. I mean, yeah, that's true. He did kind of, but see, Pacey tends to say things in a joking manner. Even when it's serious, sometimes this, like his coping ways of communicating is just to make it a joke, to make it lighthearted. But there was probably a little bit of that truth in him, in that statement, though. Like every joke has a little bit of truth in it. That's why it can be um that's why jokes are effective. If there's not a little bit of kernel of truth in a joke, it just falls flat. So it has to have some kernel of like truth in it, and so he did definitely associate that because that was like the whole like one episode where he was like, well, what's my incentive? Like what, you know, how are like if I do this, you know? Ronnie said exactly that it's a coping mechanism. Yeah, and so I feel like definitely um that was probably one of a tangible thing that he said. Obviously, when he sees her in the future, I don't exactly remember how much of an interaction that they had. I feel like they do interact in some sort of meaningful way, but like, yeah, it's a very interesting thing because I don't think they really unpack ever the impact of him having that relationship because I don't know how long that relationship went. I don't know what 6 episodes worth of a show is meant to be time wise equivalency. Amy Stribling once said, "What do you think, Phoebe? How did it shape him?" And K Girl said, "It was short lived." Um, hmm. How do I think it shaped him? It's so hard to say because they don't really show it. I mean, you know, I think that I don't think he would fully understand it until he was 36. If he was 36 and and he thought about ever pursuing someone who was 15. I think that's when it would hit him. And the reason I say that is because with Mary Kay Letourneau, the person, and like she ended up marrying him, right? But he was still very much a victim, like, and he understood that only after the fact. But is about that by that point, it was so intertwined. You know, she met him when he was 12. Well, actually, she met him earlier than 12. I think 12 is when everything started. But like she actually knew him earlier than 12 years old. So that's even more like cringy. I mean, not cringy is so like lighthearted for what the actual like thing was. But he says in interviews now, right? Like that he would never, ever, ever do what she did. Like looking at his daughters, he would have never done what she did. So he understands it now. But back then, right, people intermingled it and made it seem like it's about love and it's all this. And people there are people who romanticize Mary Kay Letourneau and said, well, look, they worked out, they got married. And I'm like, well, you do understand he was 12 years old when this all started. Susanna said, well, even at the end, he was after older women who were off limits, like the last 2 episodes. I have to look at that because in the last season. Oh, okay. I kind of remember that. Which is a really great statement, Susanna. I will have to think about when I finally get to that season. I will have to think about like how much is that really informed with what happened, because just because he doesn't manifest and I mean, again, ends up being such an amazing dude. Like, but it doesn't mean like that stuff doesn't have residue. Yeah, Shallots for Life said Mary Kay and him had kids too. And exactly. And 2 in prison while she was in prison. And so, they're his inspiration. That's why he says when he looks at those kids, he would say like, I would never have done what she did. Never. Right. And she keeps saying like that one interview when she kept saying, who's the boss? Who's the boss? Who's the boss? Who was the boss? Who was the boss? It was badgering. It was trying to make him sound like he pursued her at the age of 12. At the age of 12. Trying to put that on him as a kid. She was the adult. Ronnie said the teacher in Varsity Blues. Yeah. And Ronnie said he was. Yeah, like it was that scene in that interview was so, he was like, this is really weird. This is really, like he was so uncomfortable with how much she kept pushing that he was the boss. He made this happen. And so even in this Dawson's Creek first 6 episodes with Pacey and the teacher, it gives that impression, right? Like he's the one pursuing her. She was trying to fight it off. Like she didn't really, she's the adult. She was 36. He was 15. And the reality was like, there was definitely, I mean, I don't know. I feel a lot of things. I don't know how to verbalize it though. Shallots for Life said his brain wasn't developed enough to make a clear decision. That's why it's illegal. Yeah. And he even acknowledges that, right? He says, you know, like legally speaking, you know, he recognizes the legality. Like, you know, he's like, I can make, I forgot how he said it. Like, I can make this decision, even though legally, probably not, you know, or he said it some different way. Susanna said, have any of you seen the show A Teacher on Hulu? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so though, because I don't have Hulu. Sorry, Ronnie?
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to jump in because TikTok's doing the thing again with my messages.
Oh
no! So yeah, the one that came up for the teacher in Varsity Blues, I had actually written something before that where I was saying we also have to remember that when the show first came out, everyone was pretty glib about that stuff because we also had like Stifler's mom in American Pie.
Oh, that's right. I remember this.
And then like the teacher in Varsity Blues and things like that. That was literally
what was the teacher in Varsity Blues?
He was a stripper.
Oh.
And the boys came into the club.
Oh.
Football game.
Okay, I didn't watch Varsity Blues.
Yeah,
Is Varsity Blues a show or a movie?
It's a movie. It's with James Vanderbeek with a horrible Texan
Okay, I
accent.
remember this now. Okay. Was there like a washing machine scene or something?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, that is that movie. Okay.
It's funny you remember that.
I of all the scenes. You're like, that's the one?
Well, and
Sorry.
what's funny is that I knew exactly what you were talking about, so that's in there. That's in my brain, clearly. But yeah, no. So I'm genuinely wondering like if they were that was just supposed to be a kind of a throwaway story of some sort, or they and then as the time went by, because Dawson's Creek lasted for quite a bit, if since the subject matter shifted so much in the public eye, if they actually reference back to it and were like, oh, we should probably touch on how this would actually impact the dude, versus just having it be a throwaway thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, cause I don't remember the latter years as much to know what they ended up touching on or not. But have you seen a teacher on Hulu? Susanna said, I was asking people.
Yeah, I have not.
I mean, if this is the one I'm thinking of, is this, I haven't seen it because I'm not on Hulu, but I've probably seen it on TikTok. Is this the one with the kid that is from like, that one show? What was that show? It might have been with Melissa Joan Hart and Joey Lawrence. Maybe that's the show the kid was on. And maybe it was like Love Victor or something movie.
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I did see a clip on TikTok where he was like, it took me a really long time to make me realize that I wasn't the one, like, I didn't pursue this. Like, you were manipulating me all the way through.
Right.
I think it's that movie, maybe. But anyways, was there anything else, Ronnie?
No, I'm jumping out again.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Feel free to jump back in if there's another thing that comes up.
Okay.
And TikTok's not being kind to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Amy Stribling once said, I'm with you. I keep trying to type what I feel and then erase it because it's not coming out. K-Girl said, have you watched JJ's new show yet? I have not. Shallots for Life said it was a very hot topic at the time that the storyline wound up in different projects. Yeah, I'm wondering, I didn't check like the time frame between like when the show came out and when the whole Mary Kay Letourneau stuff came out. Like, was it anywhere nearby? I know we talked about it last time, but can anybody like check, like Google and see when did Mary Kay Letourneau happen, and like versus like these first few episodes of Dawson's Creek? Love Simon. I don't know why I said Love Victor. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's called Melissa and Joey. Okay, I looked it up. Okay. Yes. Susanna said he's a senior in high school and he ends up having an affair with his teacher. Okay, so yes, it is the one that I'm thinking of. He was on Melissa and Joey and Love Simon. It's Love Simon. Okay. Susanna said, love this convo, ladies. Oh, Ginger, she pled guilty in 1997? Okay, when was the first episode? When was the first episode of Dawson's Creek? Because if they did this storyline in a very lighthearted way after the Mary Kay Letourneau thing, 1998 was the first Dawson? So, like, Mary Kay Letourneau had already happened. And, like, they still chose to do a version of the teacher thing in a romanticized way? Is it because they ending up together? That's wild. Ronnie said, are we sure it was 98? I think it probably was, though. I feel like it was. Shouts for Life, yes, because it was a controversial topic. I am so surprised that they chose, I mean, I don't know. Okay, I guess my question is, do you feel like they romanticized it. Because I kind of felt like they romanticized it. They made it seem like Pacey wanted it. Like, it's always that whole, like, oh, of course he's a hormonal boy. He wants this. Not, and assuming that it doesn't have, like, repercussions and things that affect him, like, for real down the road. They never showed that. Susanna, yes. Yeah, it says January 1998. Ronnie agreed that they did romanticize it. Ginger said, yes, and I'll make my argument again. From the perspective of a kid, it seems cool. And later as an adult, you find out what happened and was actually messed up. And I mean, and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, it literally is, when I think of, what was his name? Mary Kay Letourneau's victim. And I will say he was a victim because people romanticized that so much. People would be like, oh, I saw them at the club. Like, because they live in Washington State, right? So they were like, oh yeah, I saw them at the club over here or over there. And it's like, they're married and, happy or whatever. And it's like, seeing his interviews, obviously it's hard, right? He's only known her since he was 12. I mean, not earlier than 12 even, but like they were so intertwined, that I think there's a part of him that was mad at her, but also loved her, but also knew as an adult that was so, like, not something that should have ever been done. It just should not have been done. Vili, Fua, I mean, I don't know how to say that, but Vili, I'll just say Vili, I think. Yeah, I mean, it was just, and it was hard because, again, he trusted her. I mean, I knew of kids that had crushes on their teachers, but the teacher was an adult and knew that to not pursue that, And so that's kind of so amazing to me that they still romanticized it the way they chose to present it. Again, I understand, Ginger, what you're saying, that it's from a kid's perspective. And yet at the same time, like, their audience was also, like, young. And so I don't know if, like, young, like, I always wonder, like, because I'm trying to remember how I felt as a kid watching it. Amy Stribling said, yeah, he was definitely a victim. My grandson is only 2 years younger than he was. Yeah. So it's like, I think about Demi Lovato when she did her song, what was it, like 1729 or something like that? Is that the ages? I forgot what the song said. But her point was, like, now that she was at that age of 29, like the same age that he was pursuing, like, oh my word, somebody's trying to get in the house. Hold on, let me see who it is. Sorry, y'all. I was like, I'm doing a live and nobody's opening it up for my niece. So, all right. Hi. Okay, so let's see. Ronnie said, I remember school guy friends complaining they didn't have hot teachers. Ginger said, I remember this kind of thing being a joke in the 90s. Tanya said, I didn't like it when I first watched it. Yes, Ronnie, it goes into double standards. If it was the opposite way around with a male teacher, yeah. Like, the stigma around men being able to like say that they did not like something, it's just like it's hard, right? Shouts for Life said Dawson's Creek was never shy by controversial storylines. Very true, which made it a really good show in that sense. I just feel like, and I'm not saying that they needed to be heavy-handed or like I mean, part of the, like, you gotta just, you do have to leave space for the audience to be able to arrive to a conclusion without being too handheld. I understand that part as well, because sometimes it just, you don't want it ends up coming to manufactured or like preachy or whatever. So you want people to be able to arrive at the conclusion themselves that it was in an inappropriate relationship. And they made markers throughout it to make it clear that it was, and yet at the same time it's like still romanticized. But again, if it's Ginger's perspective is correct, that it was done in a teenager's mind, then it would make sense that it would come off the way that it did, right? Because I mean, Pacey ends up seeming so much smoother than you probably expect a 15-year-old to be. So it's kind of, you can, so that's when I lean towards like agreeing with Ginger that it was from Pacey's perspective, because it's like, were you really that smooth at 15, Pacey? I don't know. Shouts for Life said, remember Dawson made a film including that in college. I don't remember, but it's good to, I mean, it's just a good reminder for me, like, as I'm looking back, I mean, as I continue to rewatch the show, like the things that were touched on. I will say though too, what was the word that I was gonna say? But yeah, if it was the other way around, if it was a male teacher, people would have no questions whatsoever that it's inappropriate. But because it's a like a woman, like a female teacher, there's a lot of excuses, and people like really try to say like that's a man's dream or a little boy's dream or a guy's dream to have that happen. And yet that's why I think it's hard for some men to admit when something like that has happened and they didn't want it. Or they blame themselves because their body responded, but they still, like, their body responded, but their mind didn't want that at the same time. You know what I mean? I know of, I've known of someone who that happened to him, not in a teacher situation, but with his mom's friend. And when he told his friends about it, they joked with him like that he should have wanted that, like, why is he complaining kind of thing. So it's hard for sometimes men to admit some of that kind of abuse that's happening, because they get so dismissed and they actually get made fun of for saying, like, I actually did not want that to happen. And he was so young when it happened, you know what I mean? So it's really hard. Shouts for Life said it's a double standard and so toxic. It's wrong either way. And so, yeah. So, I mean, it's so that storyline with Dawson's Creek, I'm so thankful it's over. I guess the last thing I do want to talk about before wrapping it up is your thoughts on the storyline with Dawson's parents and her finally telling the dad what she had done, her absolutely infuriating reason for doing what she did. Any thoughts on that? And yeah, it still irritates me when I think about it. I mean, I don't know. And just the it's just thinking about, like, how much did she think about the impact, you know? Ronnie said, I loved it when Mitch said you don't get to cry. Yes. And she cried anyway, right when he left. She bawled. But the thing was, I said this, Ronnie, Mitch is such a cool and collected dude usually, that seeing him that angry in this episode really scared me. Because it was just so different from how he usually was. I was like, whoa, he had every right to be that mad, but it just still took me aback. Because I forgot he could, I mean, I forgot like he got that upset, which again, understandably, I mean, he just heard the ultimate betrayal from his wife of, I forgot, he said how many years it was, and I already forgot what he said, but like all those years, and she like, I hate her reasoning. I mean, I get it's her reasoning, but I hate it. Susanna said, I love Mitch. Tanya said, I loved him for that line. Amy Stribling once said, it hits too close to home for me, so it breaks my heart. I understood him. Not looking for sympathy or to be a downer, by the way. Oh, not totally understandable, Amy Stribling. For sure. No, it's not a downer. I mean, it's like, it's real, right? It's, when that kind of stuff happens, it's just, you know. Ronnie said, yeah, he's the best man and husband, and yes, his shift was exquisite acting. So Ronnie said, is the camera off for everyone? What do you mean? Like me? Like I can see me. Can y'all see me? Tanya said she threw it all away. Yeah. For what? For what? I mean, oh, Ronnie, you can, it's a black screen for me. I can only hear you. Oh no. TikTok is not liking you. TikTok is not liking you. I don't know why. Tanya said, I can see you. Yes, and Amy Stribling said, I see you. Shouts for life says, Phoebe, you're on camera. Roddy, TikTok does not like you right now. I don't know why, but I hope it's not trying to do stuff. It's okay. It's mutual. Tanya said, could be your phone, Ronnie. Oh, that's an option too, Ronnie. Maybe it is the phone rather than the app. I mean, because if you did like the internet browser, does it have the same issue? But anyways, any other thoughts about like the impact it had, like on, like for Mitch, for Dawson, for her, like I when she said to Joey that she was gonna stop it, a part of me was like, if you never got caught, would you have stopped it? Like, would you have stopped it if you, I mean, did she stop it just because she got caught? Is that the only motivation? Because I kind of feel like it was. Shouts for Life said, of course she wouldn't have. Amy Stribling once said, I was thinking that exactly. Because, I mean, like, she was more than willing. Like, I think she wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Like, she thought she could really get away with it and have like this double life. Ronnie said she stopped because she got caught 100%. Tanya said, no, she wouldn't have. Getting caught is what made her feel guilty. Yeah. I mean, honestly, there was no thought beforehand. Like, literally, no thought. And I don't think, yeah. So I can understand why Mitch was like, yeah, Ronnie said she didn't deserve that, man. Yeah. He was loyal to the core. He loved her so deeply. So it was kind of like, you know, it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch such disregard for Mitch. He was such a great husband to her, you know what I mean? Such a great husband to her. And yeah, Tanya said it was a slap in his face. So sad. And I mean, I appreciated that, like, because he didn't, like, his voice got firm, right? He tossed all those things on the ground, but he never touched her. Like you could tell, like, the restraint, right? When she was trying to touch him, like right after she breaks the news to him, and she tries to touch him, and he's like the recoil in his body, like, do not touch me right now. Like, he literally looked disgusted at the idea that she was even trying to put her hands on him at that moment. Like, how dare you? Those hands, those same hands that has been on another man. He's like, do not touch me. Do not touch me. Ella Chada said it shattered Dawson, impacting his trust in women from then on. Oh. I have to remember to look for that. Because, I mean, I think as a kid, or not as a kid, I wasn't a kid, but, like, when I was younger, I don't know how much I retained of, like, the dynamics and things and how things had changed because of that. But yeah, no, that scene when she finally tells him, and she's like, so, like, she's weeping, and he does say the whole, like, you don't get to cry. But right before he even says that to her, right, it's just, do y'all recall the recoil in his body? Like, literally, the utter, like he did a little, like body distortion so she couldn't touch his I don't know if it was his back that she was going for, or his arm, some part of his body she was aiming to touch, and he was like, no. You don't get to do that. You don't get to at all. Yeah. Amy Stribling once said, yeah, it's disgust for one. Yeah. He was. That's why even in the car, right? When he's like, when I saw you, I knew immediately, I made that choice to love you, and I'm making the choice to not love you anymore. I do not love you anymore. Get out of this car. Get out of this car before I physically remove you out of this car. Like, get out of here. Like, that was, and yet at the same time, he went somewhere to cool off. He went somewhere to think it through, K-Girl said she shouldn't have been upset. It's her fault. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, okay. Okay. K-Girl, what do you think? Why do you think, like, when he says you don't get to cry, like, you don't get to cry. Why do you think she was crying? Was she crying why was she crying for herself? Or what was she crying for? What do you think was her motivation for crying? What were those tears for? Who was those tears for? Who were those tears for? Was that for herself? Was that for her family? What was that? Ronnie said, because she got caught. Yeah. K-Girl said for herself. Amy Stribling once said because she was caught. Yeah. I mean, and that's why I think he was like, you don't get to. Like, I don't want those tears. I don't want to see you crying those tears. Like, that is just, it's too much. You literally imploded this whole family because you were bored. He didn't know that yet. He didn't know that was the reasoning yet. K-Girl said she was being selfish. Susanna said he was a little scared. Yes. I mean, I literally was scared. I was really scared. I was scared because it was such an extreme difference from how Mitch is usually. So I was like, whoa, is he? I mean, I was scared because I almost thought he was going to hurt her, like, physically. Like, that's how angry he came out. But, like, he had a lot of self-restraint. It's just his voice was firm. He was so angry. He was so angry. It's like, I just can imagine when she said to him that every time she didn't come home, every single time she made an excuse or that she was working. Can you imagine? Like, I don't know how many times that was. But he probably like replayed those moments, thought of how many moments those were. It's so hurtful. It's so hurtful. I mean, that storyline was really painful. You know, I mean, Ronnie, I don't know what she was really expecting because she just, the way she dropped that too. She's like, oh, every time I was having sex with another man. Like, what? Like, that's how you're gonna say it? I guess there's no gentle way to say it, but like, and I don't know. What did you feel about the fact that she wanted Dawson to stay in the room? What did you think about that? When Dawson was trying to exit, and she's like, no, this is a family thing. I mean, I don't know what I felt. K-Girl said, I have no sympathy for her. Ronnie said, that's also selfish. I was like, why did she have to have Dawson hear that? I feel like the conversation with him as a child should have been different than the conversation she was having with her husband. Ronnie said she used him as a buffer. Amy Stribling once said he was a kid and didn't need to be there for that. Yeah. I mean, he already was destroyed over finding out. But yeah, it was probably a buffer situation. Even so, that makes me even more irritated. Because he honestly, when he was Dawson was ready to exit. He was like trying to head out the door. I mean, it's not like it's not like he was fighting to be there to hear this conversation. You know? So yeah, I did think that was a little that was an unfair move. Unfair move for like towards Dawson, making him sit through that. I mean, yeah, Dawson already knew at that point, so there was no point. And even if let's say he didn't know Ronnie, like, I still think her delivery to him should have been different. It really should have been different than what she would deliver to her husband. It's like, it's not the same conversation. I just don't think it should be the same conversation. Ronnie said that's why it was a buffer situation, 100%. Yeah. And so, I mean, I feel like these two storylines that they had in these first 6 episodes were really kind of heavy, and it kind of made me mad at adults. I mean, I get it. Like in sitcoms, adults don't exist sometimes. But, well, Mitch was an adult. And Grams, is an adult. Even if she can come off a particular way, she's still an adult. I don't know how old Bessie and Brody were supposed to be, because when Grams was like kids raising kids, that's what she had an issue with. And I'm like, are they kids? Because they don't seem like they're kids. How old were they supposed to be at that point? Because I'm like, they don't seem like they're young. They don't seem like they're in high school. So I wasn't in their late 20s. If they were in their late 20s, what did she mean, kids raising kids? They weren't kids. They're in their 20s. So I don't understand that. I don't understand what Grams was saying there. When she's like, my issue is kids raising kids. I'm like, kids raising kids? Who are the kids? Well, it's Grams. Ronnie said, I guess everybody's a kid in comparison to her age at that time. Shallots for Life said, I really love that you're dissecting one of my all-time favorite shows. I really, it's one of my all-time favorite shows too. Shallots for Life. I love it so much. Amy Stribling once said, compared to Grams, they're kids. Shouts for Life said Bessie was 10 years older than Joey. See, I mean, to me, that's like, that's a big enough difference in age. But maybe, I don't know. But, yeah, so I don't know. I definitely thought it was a very, these, especially, well, actually, yeah, episodes 5 and 6 were deep. And I kind of was like, can we have adults be adults? Like, why? Like, the ones ruining the kids' lives are people who should know better. Shallots for Life. Well, I guess, like, sometimes I'm like, people should know better, but then when I reach a certain age, I'm like, oh, is this what people were still thinking at this age? I don't know. Sometimes I think people should know better, and then it's like you get to that age and you're like, oh, you're kind of still the same person. Shallots for Life said, but Bessie was unmarried, mom died, dad in prison. Yeah. Oh, maybe that, see, I think that's more her issue with her, more than the kids having kids. But she did say that line, so I was like, I don't get it, because they don't look like kids to me. Ronnie said it was probably more because they aren't married. Okay. So I didn't read that message before I agreed with you, Ronnie, but I do think that's probably the bigger issue for her. But yeah, so it was a very, it was a very, it was 2 really good episodes, I think. And I also love the little, again, scene with Joey and Pacey, which are like seeds of like what it could be as a show. Not what it could be as a show, but like what could be between Joey and Pacey as things move along. But yeah. So that's pretty much all I got. But is there anything else that folks wanted to say before we leave for the night, talking about all of this stuff? Any other final thoughts? Or any part? Ronnie, did you get a chance to watch 5 to 10 for Outlander? I still need to watch 8, 9, and 10. K-Girl said that she didn't get to watch episodes 5 and 6, and I was like, was it because you were finishing Outlander? Apparently finished the whole series, which I was like, you literally went from 0 to 100. You went from like not liking Outlander to watching the whole thing. I'm like, how in the what? Ella Chada said next episode is one of my faves. Oh. Ella Chada I don't know what the next episode is, but is the next episode the pageant? Because I don't remember if Ella Chada, you were the person who's like saying that their favorite like episode was the pageant. So I'm like, is it the pageant if it was you a few weeks ago? K-Girl said this was very good. Oh, good. I'm glad. Amy Stribling also agreed. Oh, is it the the detention episode? Ella Chada said the Breakfast Club episode. Oh gosh. I'm trying to remember. Did they introduce in the Breakfast Club episode, did they introduce Abby? Or is Abby season 2? Is Abby season 2 or is Abby part of the Breakfast Club? And because I feel like Abby replaced Nellie as the like villainy character, and she did way better than Nellie. Like she was a more multi-layered, 3-dimensional kind of character. Abby was. If I'm remembering her name properly. Susanna said, I'm watching the part when Joey's asking Grams to help Bessie. LOL makes me laugh. Yeah, it was hard too to do, It's like asking your enemy, because she really feels like, okay, this lady hates us, but here I have having to ask because I have no other option right now. Shouts for Life said so many great episodes, not sure I could pick just one. Okay, so it is, okay, this is when Abby is introduced. Oh wait, season 2 or the Breakfast Club one? Because I feel like I remember Abby kind of forcing some conversations during Breakfast Club. Okay. Episode 12 is the beauty pageant, and Susanna said, yes, she's in the next episode, season 1. Oh, Ronnie's thinking Andy. Okay. Yeah, not Andy, Abby. I'm talking about Abby, like the mean girl kind of energy to her, but she was way layered. Nellie didn't last very long. Susanna said episode 7. Yeah. Like, I knew Nellie wasn't gonna last long just by the way she acted. I was like, you gotta give people more to work with. So I'm actually looking forward to that. I know that Abby, some people liked Abby, some people didn't like Abby. But what I will say for Abby is I felt like she did bring an important piece to the show. Like, there were so many things that involved Abby that was, I think, actually quite important. Quite important to the show. So for the time that she was there, I think she had a lot of important roles of moving some of the storylines along. Ronnie said that's a well-written episode. K-Girl said, I thought she was intro in 2, but it was season 1. Yeah. I mean, I know that she did a really good job in the next episode, simply because the fact that I remember that she pushed buttons in that episode. Like, she forced some conversations that they didn't want to have out in the open. And I think they needed a character outside of the inner circle to be able to push that out. Because without her, Ronnie says she forced kisses, LOL. I forgot about that. But I just remember, like, she asked really, like, questions that maybe the audience would want asked, but, like, would not naturally happen if it was just the regular group of folks. Like, they needed an outsider, and not only an outsider, but like an outside agitator kind of personality. And Abby really did that well. Ronnie said, truth or dare, such a dangerous game. This is true. Like, don't play it if you're not willing to follow through with it. Amy Stribling once said, yes, thank you, Abby. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She was a good character. She was. I appreciated her. Even if she irritated me at the time, like, but at the same time, like, she did her job well. Because Nellie, so forgettable. I forgot she existed. You know, I forgot Nellie ever existed. But Abby, I remember the impact. So, with that said, I'm looking forward to looking at episodes 7 and 8 next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I appreciate y'all's joining me for this one. This was fun, and I think it was, you know, they brought up really important conversations. K-Girl said, I'll watch. It's because you're done with Outlander now, K-Girl. Just kidding. All right, bye.